She threw him out once. She rejected him twice. But the third time, she humiliated him in front of an entire ballroom. "Security! Get this man away from me!" People stared. Some laughed. The quiet stranger said nothing as security approached. But nobody knew the truth. The man she was throwing out owned the company. And within minutes, one announcement would turn her confidence into fear. But this isn't simply a story about wealth. It's about character. And before it ends, you'll discover 3 lessons worth remembering for life. It was a cold Friday evening in London. Hundreds of wealthy guests had gathered inside a magnificent Mayfair hotel for the Harrington Vale Charity Gala. The company hosting the event had recently been acquired by Northbridge Capital. Very few people had ever met Northbridge's billionaire chairman, Jonathan Mercer. Jonathan preferred it that way. That evening, he arrived alone, wearing a simple dark suit. No limousine, no entourage, no announcement. He wanted to quietly observe the company he had just purchased, especially its CEO, Charlotte Harrington. Charlotte was successful, confident, and highly respected. But Jonathan had received disturbing complaints about how junior employees were treated. He wanted to see the truth himself. Near the entrance, a young waiter accidentally dropped a tray. Glasses shattered. "I'm terribly sorry," the frightened waiter said. A senior executive frowned. "Someone clean this mess." Jonathan bent down and helped the young man. "Are you all right?" "Yes, sir." "Thank you." Several guests stared. Jonathan simply smiled and walked away. Soon he saw Charlotte surrounded by executives. "Miss Harrington?" She looked at him. "My name is Jonathan. I've been hoping to speak with you." Her eyes moved over his ordinary suit. "Are you one of our major donors?" "Not exactly." "Then please speak to my assistant. I'm dealing with important guests." Jonathan quietly walked away. That was rejection number 1. Minutes later, Charlotte happily spent 15 minutes talking to a wealthy property developer. Jonathan understood. She had time, just not for people she considered unimportant. Later, Jonathan helped an elderly cleaner move a heavy decoration. Her name was Margaret. "Thank you," she said. Then she smiled. These events reveal people's character. How? Watch how people treat someone they believe can do nothing for them. Jonathan froze. His mother had taught him almost the same thing. She had cleaned offices when Jonathan was a child. She always told him, never decide someone's value by their uniform. An hour later, Jonathan approached Charlotte again. "Miss Harrington, could I have 2 minutes?" She sighed. "You? Again?" "I'm from Northbridge." Her expression suddenly changed. "Northbridge Capital?" "Yes." She smiled. "What department?" Before he could answer, someone announced the arrival of a famous businessman. Charlotte immediately turned away. "Speak to Human Resources on Monday." That was rejection number 2. Jonathan wasn't angry. He was disappointed. For a few seconds, she had treated him better because she thought he might be important. Then someone wealthier appeared, and Jonathan became invisible again. Remember the first lesson. Never measure someone's value by what they can do for you. Later that evening, Charlotte stood on stage. "At Harrington Vale, we believe everyone deserves dignity and respect." The ballroom applauded. Jonathan remained silent. Because words are easy. Character is what you do when there's nothing to gain. After her speech, Jonathan approached her one final time. "Miss Harrington." Her face hardened. "Not again. Before tonight ends, you really need to know who I am. I don't care who you are." People nearby turned. "Please allow me to finish." "Security!" The room fell silent. 2 officers approached. Charlotte pointed at Jonathan. "Remove this man." Someone laughed. Jonathan calmly said to the officers, "It's all right. You're doing your job." Then the young waiter stepped forward. "Mom, he hasn't done anything wrong." Charlotte glared at him. "Did I ask for your opinion?" The waiter lowered his head. Jonathan smiled at him. The young man had defended someone he believed was nobody. Security began escorting Jonathan towards the exit. Then, suddenly, the microphone came alive. "Ladies and gentlemen, one final announcement." Jonathan stopped. The MC continued. "As you know, Harrington Vale recently became part of Northbridge Capital." Charlotte smiled proudly. "Tonight, we are honored to welcome Northbridge Capital's founder and chairman." Charlotte began applauding. "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Mercer." Silence. Charlotte's hands froze. Everyone turned. Jonathan stood beside the security officers. Charlotte went pale. Jonathan calmly turned around and walked back towards the stage. Nobody laughed now. People moved aside. He took the microphone. Good evening. The room was completely silent. I've had a very educational evening. Charlotte stared at the floor. I came here tonight to understand the culture of the company Northbridge has acquired. Jonathan looked towards the waiter. I watched a young man make a mistake and apologize, while others mocked him. Then towards Margaret. I met a cleaner who reminded me of something my mother taught me. He paused. My mother cleaned offices for a living. She taught me that character is revealed by how you treat people who cannot advance your career. Then he looked at Charlotte. Miss Harrington, I tried to introduce myself 3 times. Mr. Mercer, I'm so sorry. Jonathan gently raised his hand. I'm not concerned because you didn't recognize me. He paused. I'm concerned because of how you treated me when you thought I wasn't important. Charlotte couldn't speak. If you had known I owned this company, would you have treated me differently? Silence. Jonathan nodded. That's the problem. Then he said something nobody in that ballroom forgot. Respect that only appears when someone has money or power isn't respect. It's strategy. Jonathan then revealed that Northbridge had already received complaints about Harrington Vale's workplace culture. Tonight has convinced me those complaints deserve a full investigation. Charlotte looked terrified. Effective immediately. You will step aside while an independent review takes place. Gasps filled the ballroom. Jonathan wasn't finished. No employee will be ignored because they have a smaller salary or title. Then he looked towards the waiter. You defended a stranger when you had nothing to gain. Thank you. The audience applauded. Jonathan turned towards Margaret. And thank you for reminding me of my mother's wisdom. Margaret wiped away tears. Then Jonathan said, money can buy expensive clothes. It can buy cars. It can open doors. But it cannot buy humility. It cannot buy integrity. And it cannot buy character. 3 months later, the investigation ended. It revealed years of intimidation and mistreatment of junior employees. Charlotte was removed as CEO. Several managers also left. But Jonathan didn't want revenge. He wanted change. New leadership was appointed. Employees received stronger protection. Complaints were taken seriously. And Jonathan introduced one principle. Nobody here is too important to show respect, and nobody is too unimportant to receive it. 1 year later, the company had changed dramatically. The young waiter Daniel had postponed university to care for his mother. After learning his story, Northbridge's charitable foundation awarded him a scholarship. Margaret eventually retired. Jonathan personally attended her small retirement celebration carrying flowers. You didn't have to come, she told him. Jonathan smiled. Yes, I did. Years later, an interviewer asked Jonathan, what is the greatest leadership lesson you've learned? He smiled. My mother taught me to watch how people treat those they don't need. So remember 3 things. First, never measure someone's value by what they can do for you. Second, your position reveals your authority, but how you treat people reveals your character. Third, never underestimate a small act of kindness. Daniel defended a stranger. Margaret shared one sentence. Neither expected anything in return. That is what made their actions powerful. You may never know who is standing in front of you. But even if they're not secretly a billionaire, treat them well anyway. Kindness shouldn't require a reward. Respect shouldn't require a title. And dignity shouldn't require wealth. If this story touched you, share it with someone who believes character still matters. And ask yourself one question. How do I treat people when there's absolutely nothing they can give me in return? Your answer may reveal more about you than your money, position, or achievements ever could. Until next time, choose kindness, walk in humility, treat people with dignity. Because sometimes the greatest test of character arrives without introducing itself.